Discussion on dividends and the dividend policy of firms in Unit 5 of Applied Corporate Finance. And we'll now focus our attention towards the schools of thought which come in with respect to dividends. Right. So there are broadly three schools of thought that exist, and the first one says they do not matter. People should be indifferent towards dividend policies when they are evaluating companies. The second one says dividends are actually a negative signal, and the third one says dividends are actually a positive signal, right? So obviously it depends case to case, and we will look at what are the underlying assumptions in some of these schools of thoughts, which of them are practical, which of them are more theoretical in nature, and then try and build upon that with a few examples of what we see in the overall understanding of companies when we're looking at their dividends. So there are three schools of thought. The first one says dividend do not matter, which means investors are basically indifferent between whether you pay them a dividend or whether if you don't pay them the dividend, the stock will appreciate. They will make money through capital appreciation. So they do not have a problem in either way because they believe that in both the cases you're going to have similar set of benefits and you will remain indifferent in that case. There is one school of thought which says dividends are bad either because of tax issues, if dividends get taxed at a higher rate, or because they could probably have some sort of a signal that a company is giving, right? And then there is a third school of thought which says dividends are good, either again, if in certain geographies taxation is a benefit, it's a signal that comes out, and it also helps you a sort of transfer of wealth. What's the signal? The signal is that the company seems to be doing well, and typically the transfer of wealth is money coming to the shareholders basically. So it's why would that be bad? It should be considered as good, right? Those are the three school of thoughts. Now let's look at each one of them in a little bit more detail, right? So the first one is dividends do not matter. This school of thought is also known as the Miller-Modigliani hypothesis on dividends, right? After the name of the two gentlemen who talked about it. This makes a few assumptions, right? The assumptions are there is no cost, direct or indirect, of new stock issuance. So if you can issue stocks at no cost, you can raise equity without any additional cost. That's an assumption. It says there is no difference between the tax treatment for capital gains, which is the stock price difference, your buy price minus your sell price, or sell price minus your buy price, and the dividends. So both are taxed at the same tax rate. So you're indifferent whether you will make money because of dividends or you will make money because the company's stock price goes up, right? The companies, it is also assumed, do not destroy value of unpaid dividend by investing in bad projects. So you're saying that if a company does not pay dividend, it still holds it in projects which give you a similar return than what overall the firm is making. They will not destroy value. That's an assumption that is embedded into this, right? If there is no tax disadvantage associated with dividends and companies can raise money at issuance cost to raise equity whenever needed, then the investor is going to be indifferent to getting paid in dividends or via capital appreciation. The stock was priced at 100. Either you make 100 to 105 in the form of capital appreciation, or 100 stays at 100 and you get 5 rupees of dividend. You should be indifferent to these two as long as you believe that the taxation implication on this 5 rupees and this 5 rupees is the same. And if you leave it with the company, right, this 5 rupees with the company does not destroy value. And if they return it to you, then tomorrow there is no real issue in terms of raising more money. Let's say they don't need this 5 rupees today, so they give it to you today, but they need 5 rupees next year, so they again raise money. There is no cost to that. If there is a cost to that, if there is a difference in the tax treatment, and if you believe that the company might actually lose money for you in the future because they do not have enough projects, this school of thought is not valid. It is not practical. So in theory, this school of thought works, But in practice, most of the times dividends will give you some sort of a signal, either good or bad, most of the times, right?